America. My name is Molly with channel number 5. On my right, I have Jasmine, and on my left, I have Brianna.
Good morning, I'm Stephanie Ramirez, and the Roaring Twenties, as many have said, was an age of dramatic social and political change. The Roaring Twenties was a time period where life was a celebration for Americans. Americans believed nothing could go wrong due to the fact that everyone had jobs and they were living to the fullest. They basically lived the American dream by celebrating until conflict occurred during 1929. Today we will be discussing the Roaring Twenties, the major problems we Americans experienced, the music and dances we enjoyed, and how we went from pursuing our happiness to a nightmare.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and I'm going to be talking about the New Woman, which is a stage in the 1920s that really affected the whole world. New women were aka the flappers, with short hair, included short skirts also, and very noticeable makeup. They were repping mostly. A lot of people were against women having rights, such as the KKK and also churches, and a lot of even women were opposed to this new role of women. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote, and also public acceptance of wage-earning jobs for young unmarried women was growing at the time. Working for wages gave women independence, and by 1930, 1 in 4 women held a paying job, which actually leads to the Great Depression, connects to the Great Depression, because when men went to war, a lot of women already had started jobs and they could support their family. However, they were not on equal terms with men totally yet. Women remained economically and politically under men in the early 20s. I'm here with Karen Stewart, and I just wanted to ask you exactly how did you feel during the New Woman age?
So being a new woman was the best decision I could have ever made because I feel great. I have my freedom due to the fact that I'm not obligated to be with a man all day. Now I can vote and fight for what I believe is right, and I can work on a daily basis.
So other than being a new woman, what do you think was the most impactful thing you did?
The most impactful thing I did for women's rights is protest every day, which ended up resulting into getting the right to life for every woman in America. I wouldn't be here today living the life I live if it wasn't for the new women.
There were percent of new women who participated in politics also, as well as the parties, but would you consider yourself more political or just more partying and rebellious?
Well, I think I was a part of the new woman more just because the flappers are considered the rebellious type, and my sister, whom I was close to, told me her stories, and she was a flapper, and I just think that there's a difference between flappers and new women because new women are more mature than the flappers, and the flappers would just do wild stuff and make us new women look bad. But my sister had told me some crazy stories, and like one time she was at this party and she was just telling me how everybody was foreplaying, but I mean they were married, and I just think that makes us new women look bad. So I consider myself a new woman. Hello, my name is Molly, and I'm going to be talking about the Jazz Age. The Jazz Age was a post-World War I movement in the 1920s. The Jazz Age was a cultural period and movement that took place in America during the 1920s, from both which new styles of music and dance emerged. Jazz music exploded as a popular entertainment in the 1920s and brought African American culture to the white middle class. The birth of jazz music is credited to African Americans, but both Black and white Americans alike are responsible for its immense rise in popularity. The popular show Potter Palm included big band jazz performances broadcast from cities like New York and Chicago. There was multiple forms of dance such as the Charleston, the cakewalk, the black bottom, and the flea hop, and etc.
talking about Prohibition. The 18th Amendment was passed by the U.S. Congress, which was Prohibition. This lasted from 1920 to 1933. It was usually Christians or the women that were against the alcohol. Women were against the alcohol because it was the men that would usually come home late and they would be drunk and beating up on their wives. So of course the women were against it. But even while it was banned, there was still a way that people got alcohol, and those were from bootleggers. The bootleggers transported alcohol illegally. Although it was illegal, they made a lot of money off of selling alcohol because a lot of people still wanted to buy alcohol. So they made a lot of money off of that. Prohibition was going on during the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, it was usually the men that drank. But since they banned it, it didn't only affect the people who were drinking, but it affected the government as well. Whenever people bought alcohol, alcohol was taxed on it, so the government would get money on it. But because they banned alcohol, the government started to lose money on it. Soon the crime rate started to rise because of course people were buying the alcohol illegal, so it was considered a crime. But at last, it's 1933 and Prohibition has ended.
The Great Depression was the most severe economic crisis of modern times. It began in 1929 and lasted until 1939. According to History.com, the Great Depression was the deepest, drastic, and longest severe depression ever experienced in the history of Western industrialization world. The Great Depression began due to the catastrophic collapse of stock market prices in New York Stock Exchange. It started in the United States and rapidly turned into a worldwide economic problem. On October 29, 1929, known as Black Tuesday, the stock market collapsed and wiped out 12.9 million stocks purchased by borrowed money. The stock market wiped out millions of investors from Wall Street. By mid-November of 1929, an estimate of 30 billion stock values became worthless throughout the months employment declined. More than 3.2 million people were unemployed. Factories and businesses unemployed their employees due to industrial production. Not only was the stock market crash a major factor into the Great Depression, but farmers experienced their own economic depression as well. Farmers couldn't harvest their crops and were forced to starve. During 1933, the Great Depression reached its lowest point, and 13 to 15 million Americans were unemployed as well as banks. People were drastically desperate for jobs. For example, 6,000 unemployed individuals worked in New York selling apples for 5 cents. World War II was the economical solution to the Great Depression. From 1935 to 1943, the Tennessee Valley Authority and the Works Project Administration employed 8.5 million of people. However, due to the attack on Pearl Harbor, factories reopened and mass productions began. In 1935, Congress finally passed the Social Security Act for the first time in America. Millions of people were provided with employment, insurance, and Social Security.